you can count on us. This is 7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us as we kick off another week of Good Morning Fort Sill.
That's right, and it's Indigenous Peoples Day, so federal holiday, Columbus Day, so not a lot of folks, especially military personnel, are really in at work today due to that federal holiday, but there may be a few venturing out to do PT, so let's go ahead and kick it over to Ulysses. Looks like there's some rain, maybe not right now, but maybe a little bit later this morning in the forecast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be dealing with some rain, Dan. Actually, the morning PT forecast this morning, definitely if you go out there, it's definitely warm. It's muggy out there. 75 degrees. Look at that, 15 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. 12-mile-an-hour wind. And keep in mind, Saturday morning, we dropped down to the lower 50s. So that's a big change in those temperatures from what we had throughout the weekend. So definitely a big jump there. For your morning PT forecast, we may drop down to the lower 70s, maybe even down to 69 degrees. We'll start warming up a bit, but don't expect really a big warm up for today. Looking at the radar right now, most of the rain showers are pretty much on our westernmost communities here over towards King, Cottle, and Childress counties, but most of this in general will be light rain, and it's kind of going to be pushing off towards the northeast. So definitely our westernmost communities will have a better opportunity for rain. So say Altus, Hobart, Elk City, we'll see some of that rain. May push maybe a little bit east towards Lyme, but Lyme will be kind of on the lower end. Now for rainfall this month, we've been pretty much at zero so far, but we do need that rain. Looking at that day planner for today, we'll have widely scattered showers, 30, maybe up to 40% chance. And as we look at those temperatures here, we'll make our way into the lower 80s this afternoon. We'll drop down into the upper 70s by 7 p.m. By this point, the rain chances begin to dwindle, and we'll deal with some drier weather going into your Tuesday. We'll talk about those warm temperatures, but there could be some changes on the way for the weekend. We'll talk about that throughout the show.
Well, President Trump is set to make remarks to Israeli parliament at any moment now.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has more from Washington.
This morning, President Trump landing in Israel to meet with hostage families and address Israel's government before traveling to Egypt for a world summit on ending the war in Gaza.
The war is over. The war is over.
Today, Trump is expected to meet with the Egyptian president and more than 20 other countries with the goal of agreeing to a peace plan moving forward.
I think it's going to hold. I think people are a lot of reasons why it's going to hold, but I think people are tired of it. It's been centuries, okay? Not just recent, it's been centuries.
Among the topics discussed includes how Hamas will disarm and who will be responsible for rebuilding, securing, and governing Gaza. Israel has said it will not agree to end the war until Hamas disarms. It comes as celebrations erupted in Tel Aviv in what has become known as Hostages Square. Families in tears as the families of hostages anxiously awaited their loved ones. One mother of an Israeli hostage became emotional on her way to a meeting point to see her son after more than 2 years.
I'm so excited. I'm full of happiness, and it's hard to imagine how I feel this moment.
As part of this first phase of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, 20 hostages believed to be alive are expected to be released today. The remains of 28 hostages who died in captivity are also expected to be returned. In exchange, Israel says it will release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. The Red Cross now in the northern Gaza Strip, where hostages are being transferred into their custody. Israel and Hamas will reportedly not be a part of today's summit, leading many to question the effectiveness of any agreement that doesn't include them. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Now, before we get to the news of the government shutdown, do want to mention, though, ABC News could be breaking in at any moment with President Trump's comments on Israel-Hamas.
Yeah, that's right. That's an ongoing situation right now as he gets on the ground and gets ready to address Parliament there in Israel. So today marks the day 13 of the federal government shutdown. And
while hundreds of thousands of federal workers are not getting a paycheck, President Trump has announced that his administration has found a way to pay the military. The president says service members will receive a paycheck on October 15th.
Now, a spokesperson for the Office of Management and Budget says that funds will be to pay the military will come from unobligated research and development funds from the Pentagon's budget. And that is great news to hear that our troops will be paid this week. However, there's still a lot of uncertainty that remains as the shutdown drags on. Federal civilian employees will remain unpaid. And it's unclear if President Trump's directive includes Coast Guard personnel, NOAA, uniformed services, and the U.S. Public Health Service, which all three of those do not technically fall under the Department of War. So hopefully we'll get some clarification on that or more details this week.
Now, we will continue to update shutdown resources and financial assistance available in the military section of our website, kswo.com. Now, once there, you can click on the government shutdown resource article.
And even with the weekend announcement that service members will be paid this week, a lot of military families who live paycheck to paycheck have been bracing for a gap in pay due to the shutdown, leading to some to use local food pantries to put dinner on the table.
Yeah, here locally, the Lawton Food Bank is hosting a special food distribution event on Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. for active duty service members and their families. One Armed Service YMCA food pantry down at Fort Hood says the number of service members coming out to get food went up by an all-time record of 34% last week.
When you're thinking about you might also lose a paycheck on top of already living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even making it to paycheck without needing help, you can imagine the anxiety. This isn't our first rodeo. We've been through pandemics and plane crashes and other forms. We'll get through this as a military family.
Local food pantries want service members to know this kind of support is there for families that need it.
Well, October is Domestic Violence Prevention Month, and Army Community Service alongside Fort Sill MWR is hosting a run to raise awareness. That run will take place on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at the Patriot Club. There will be a 5K run, a 5K ruck, or a 1-mile walk.
$35 will get you a limited edition t-shirt, bib, and medal. However, the run itself is free and open to the public. You can register online at sill.armymwr.com or in person at the Welcome Center. And on Thursday, USO Oklahoma will be hosting their annual Fall Festival from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m.
There will be a chili bar, trunk or treat games, and crafts, fire trucks, police cars, and more. It's free and open to all active duty service members and their families.
And it wouldn't be October without a zombie run. Fort Sill MWR is gearing up for its annual Zombie 5K, which will take place October 25th at 7 p.m.
That's right. Cost is $45 for a t-shirt, water bottle, bib, and medal. But you can also just show up and participate for free if you don't want the swag. For more information and to register, you can visit sill.armymwr.com.
Well, Vernon College in Wichita Falls is hosting an open house with resources tailored to the community of the military community. It's happening tomorrow from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening. Visitors can go on guided tours, visit with the VA office, meet with financial aid experts, and take any needed placement tests. For more information, you can contact the Shepherd Air Force Base Military and Family Readiness Center on Facebook.
And Shepherd Air Force Base will be conducting another active shooter training at Shepherd Elementary School this weekend. The training will be from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Saturday.
You may hear simulated gunfire during that exercise. For more information, you can contact the 82nd Security Forces Squadron on Shepherd. Well, the Navy football team remains undefeated after another late game comeback against Temple. We'll have highlights from this weekend's Academy Sports when Good Morning Fort Sill returns.
Don't wait to see the news that affects you. Know first with 7 News at 4 p.m.
A man charged in a deadly hit and run from 2023 has been sentenced.
7 News is working for you.
The Lawton Firefighters Association is raising awareness about critical staffing issues.
Your first alert for what's next.
We're just going to see dry conditions, mostly sunny skies.
Uncovering breaking stories that impact Texoma.
The city of Lawton's Ward 2 councilman has announced his resignation.
Checking facts and finding solutions. 7 News, working for you every night at 5 and 6. KSWO and the Lawton Fort Sill community want to thank our service members and their families for their service and sacrifice. We are extremely proud of your courage, dedication, and daily commitment to protecting our freedoms. To recent graduates and their extended families, congratulations on your accomplishment and welcome to our community. Lawton Fort Sill is a unique area like no other in the country. With our strong working relationship with our armed forces, thank you for everything you do for us. Good news happens all around us. From the opening of a new aquatic center in Lawton.
I am very, very proud of everyone that had their hands in this project, and I feel great, and I want everybody to feel the same as I do when they come and see the Aquatic Center.
To the first Purple Heart brewery in the nation.
Being in the military prior, been stationed to Korea twice, and then I know Fort Sill's right next door, and that's one of the Field Artillery and Patriot units duty stations.
To vocational schools getting recognized for their 5-star rating. To a Cameron University professor earning funding for the student-led broadcast studio.
We're using the funds to purchase a new studio audio board and all this really neat stuff that's really going to carry our audio capabilities in the television studio to a much higher level.
Good News is sponsored by Next Home Tri-Covenant Realty and Darby's. Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
Welcome back, everyone. And looking at the satellite radar right now, we're actually dealing with overall just rain coming in from the southwest towards the northeast here. And that's going to be the case as we go throughout the morning hours and even into early this afternoon. So we're expecting some widely scattered showers across the area. But for now, most areas are relatively quiet. Our Comanche Red River Hotel Casino Tower Cam in Duval, really just dark out there. And really today it's going to be more one of your gloomier days. The good news, though, will be much cooler because of that. There is a front nearby off towards the north, but we're dealing with just some of that rain associated with some tropical moisture left over from the remnants of Priscilla and Raymond. Looking at temperatures currently, though, 75 degrees in Lawton, 73 in Duncan, 69 in Elk City, 73 in Frederick. As we make our way south of the river, we're dealing with those temperatures in the middle 70s, 72 in Bowie, 74 in Wichita Falls, 75 in Vernon, 72 in Paducah, 74 in Quanah. So there's that front, and it's actually going to try to get a little closer to us, but really what's eventually going to happen, it's actually going to retreat back towards the north as we dry things out going into tomorrow, and we're going to start seeing our temperatures warm up once again. In the upper levels of the atmosphere, we have just that upper level high kind of pushing closer towards Mexico, a dip in the jet stream off towards the west, and we're not really going to be dealing with too much of that influence from that dip, that trough off towards the west here. But as we look here throughout the day, we'll have showers throughout the morning and early afternoon, and then gradual clearing as we make our way into your Tuesday. We could see maybe just a lingering shower into your Tuesday. Looking at your PT forecast, temperatures in the lower 70s. As we go throughout the day, we'll warm things up into the upper 70s to lower 80s.
It's time for your weekly Academy College football update. For the first time since 2019, Navy is off to a 6-0 start.
This is pretty good. So for the second week in a row, the midshipmen played one of the most exciting college football games of the weekend. They got some late game heroics to beat Temple 32-31.
So it all came down to the final minute. Navy facing a 4th and short near midfield. They rolled the dice for the quarterback run. Blake Horvath breaks free for that 51-yard touchdown, but instead of kicking an extra point to tie, they decided to go for the win, go for 2. Horvath to Alex Teza for what turned out to be the game winner. Great throw, great catch there.
Now, absolutely impressive there to do that last-minute play there to pull 2. So Navy 4-0 in the American Conference play. Heading into a bye week, they'll be back in action October 25th against Florida Atlantic. Meanwhile, Army did not require the same kind of fireworks. The Black Knights cruised to a 24-7 win over Charlotte.
Yeah, Army absolutely dominated the first half, and early in the second half, they jumped out to a 24-0 lead. Cale Helms got the start at quarterback. He rushed for over 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Black Knight defense, with its best performance of the season as well, they held the 49ers under 200 yards.
Now, Army improves to 3-2. They'll get a much tougher test this week when they travel to New Orleans to take on 5-1 Tulane.
That'd be a tough one. Tulane's a good ball club.
Man, yeah. So Air Force's losing streak continued with a 51-48 loss over UNLV. So close there, Kyle.
And it seems like it's the way it's been going for the Falcons. Offense ultra productive again. They racked up over 600 total yards, but still found a way to lose as the Runnin' Rebels scored the game winners you see here in the final minute of play. Air Force has a top 10 offense, but the worst defense in college football right now. They're 1-5 heading into this week's matchup with Wyoming. Well, every day is a good day to celebrate the nation's service members. Today is a little extra special because today is the Navy's birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday, Navy. It was on this day in 1775 that the Continental Congress established the first U.S. naval force in the midst of the Revolutionary War. In the weeks and months that followed, Congress purchased additional ships and established a naval committee.
And today, the Navy has more than 340,000 active duty personnel and upwards of 71,000 reservists. Multiple celebrations celebrations are set for this week, including the Navy and Marine Corps 250th Parade and a Blue Angels flyover above Independence Hall.
Investigators in Tennessee are searching for answers after a military plane exploded over the weekend. We'll have your national military headlines coming up after the break.
Don't wait to see the news that affects you. Know first with 7 News at 4 p.m.
A man charged in a deadly hit and run from 2023 has been sentenced.
7 News is working for you.
The Lawton Firefighters Association is raising awareness about critical staffing issues.
Your first alert for what's next.
We're just going to see dry conditions, mostly sunny skies.
Uncovering breaking stories that impact Texoma.
The city of Lawton's Ward 2 councilman has announced his resignation.
Checking facts and finding solutions. 7 News, working for you every night at 5 and 6. KSWO and the Lawton Fort Sill community want to thank our service members and their families for their service and sacrifice. We are extremely proud of your courage, dedication, and daily commitment to protecting our freedoms. To recent graduates and their extended families, congratulations on your accomplishment and welcome to our community. Lawton Fort Sill is a unique area like no other in the country. With our strong working relationship with our armed forces, thank you for everything you do for us. Good news happens all around us. From the opening of a new aquatic center in Lawton.
I am very, very proud of everyone that had their hands in this project, and I feel great, and I want everybody to feel the same as I do when they come and see the aquatic center.
To the first Purple Heart brewery in the nation.
Being in the military prior, been stationed to Korea twice, and then I know Fort Sill's right next door, and that's one of the field artillery and Patriot units duty stations.
To vocational schools getting recognized for their 5-star rating. To a Cameron University professor earning funding for the student-led broadcast studio.
We're using the funds to purchase a new studio audio board and all this really neat stuff that's really going to carry our audio capabilities in the television studio to a much higher level.
Good News is sponsored by Next Home Tri-Covenant Realty and Darby's.
Officials in Tennessee say they have not found any survivors following a massive explosion over the weekend at a military industrial explosives plant.
At least 18 people were missing after the blast at the Accurate Energetic Systems facility. Investigators are now moving to a recovery mission.
We're in an investigative type situation, and can I say we're going to rule out foul play? We can't answer that. That might be days or weeks or months before we can do that. And it's like I've said every time before, we have one shot at this, and we're going to take our time to make sure that we do the very best for our people and those victims involved.
Investigators are using cell phone records to determine who was at the plant at the time of the explosion. Crews remained on site over the weekend detonating explosives because the chemicals are more unstable than previously thought.
A response team with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives is expected to help with the investigation.
Well, the Department of War is clarifying their earlier announcement that the federal government had reached an agreement with Qatar to build a facility at an Air Force base in Idaho.
That's right. According to the DOW, the facility will be built at Mountain Home Air Force Base. It isn't actually a separate base at all, but a group of buildings that will handle training and maintenance for Qatari troops.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the agreement between the U.S. and Qatar has been in the works for years now. On-site training agreements with allies are common in the U.S., including with countries such as Germany and Singapore.
And the Pentagon is easing the return of former troops kicked out of the military for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine.
The changes follow criticism from some social media influencers about how returning troops have been treated at military intake facilities. Special treatment for returning troops includes accepting late arrival, being given priority processing, and a trained escort to expedite screening.
A memo released by the DOW mandated changes at military entrance and processing stations where recruits get medical screenings and other tests before going into the service. Well, First Lady Melania Trump is working to reunite Ukrainian children who have been separated from their families due to the conflict with Russia.
The effort over several weeks' time comes after the First Lady wrote Russian President Vladimir Putin a peace letter in August about the impact of the war on kids. On Friday, the First Lady said Russia allowed 8 children from Ukraine to be sent back to their parents.
We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine.
The First Lady says discussions continue in the attempt to reunify more children in the immediate future. In addition, Russian officials provided updates on the identities of some children and the medical services that they're receiving.
And President Trump says he may send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine if Russia does not settle its ongoing war.
Speaking to reporters on Air Force One, the president said that he may speak to Putin before sending Ukraine the missiles, which can strike targets over 1,000 miles away.
They'd like to have Tomahawks. We talked about that, and so we'll see. Well, I don't know. I might have to speak to Russia, to be honest with you, about Tomahawks. Do they want to have Tomahawks going in their direction? I don't think so. I think I might speak to Russia about that, in all fairness. I told that to President Zelensky, because Tomahawks are a new step of aggression. Right? You understand that very well.
Are you saying that you will speak to Putin first about Tomahawks?
I might talk to him. I might say, look, if this war's not going to get settled, I'm going to send him Tomahawks. I may say that.
Well, nearly 75 veterans from Maine took a trip of a lifetime over the weekend.
They took an honor flight to our nation's capital to tour the memorials and monuments built in their honor. For one Vietnam vet who took his first trip to D.C. on the flight, the trip made him proud of his military service.
We did not get a very nice greeting. Now we are getting the greeting we should have.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel very proud. Proud to be an American.
Honor Flights provides an all-expenses-paid trip for veterans to visit D.C. The Honor Flight network has transported over 300,000 since its inception, with approximately 24,000 veterans flying each year.
Well, the streets around the Pentagon were filled with runners for the 41st Army 10-miler over the weekend.
So spirits were high as nearly 28,000 participants, including active duty service members, veterans, wounded warriors, ROTC teams, and military families race proceeds benefit the Army's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Program, which funds fitness, child care, housing, and community support initiatives for service members and their families.
Sam Shalongo won the men's title with a 48-minute, 43-second time. He is a former Army world-class athlete program runner who also won the 2020 and 2024 events. In the women's division, Michelle Vaccaro, a PhD candidate at MIT's Institute for Data Systems and Society, took first place for the time of 56:44.
Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
Good morning and happy Monday. We're tracking some rain showers, but for now in our Jackson County Memorial Hospital Tower Cam and Altus, things are dry, but we could see some activity here as we go through the next few hours, so just keep that in mind. Looking at your temperatures currently, though, definitely a warm start, though, into the 70s here across Texoma. 73 in Duncan, 72 in Bowie, 75 here in Lawton, 76 in Anadarko, 75 in Altus, 75 Vernon, 72 over towards Paducah. So like I mentioned previously, there was a front. We talked about this a bit when I was here back on Saturday, how this front was going to make its way close to us, but then kind of just stay just to the north of us. And what's going to happen is actually going to retreat back towards the north as a warm front as we make our way through the next 24 hours. But you saw some of the activity coming in from southwest to northeast. Definitely the further northwest and west you are, you'll have a better opportunity for some of those showers this morning and even to the early afternoon. Further off towards the east, lesser opportunities. But it definitely welcoming rain because we do need the rain here across Texoma. Looking into tonight, we'll see those rain chances dwindle. Some of the clouds still will linger tonight and even into tomorrow morning. If there's a chance of a shower tomorrow, it's going to be more so off towards the northeast, towards the northwest. And then as we go throughout today, we'll have those temperatures for your PT forecast right around 70 degrees. We'll warm things up into the lower 80s this afternoon. Widely scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm possible. Going into tonight, we'll drop down to the lower 60s. And as we look ahead over the next 7 days, we'll see our temperatures still above average, but we're going to start trending a bit cooler as we make our way into the weekend.
Well, thanks for watching Good Morning Fort Sill. Be sure to check that 7 News app today for updates and for breaking news.